Okay, very quick revision of your with the assessment. First thing is your inference. All right, start from the very basic inference. Just to recap again, when you write your point, right, make sure you answer directly to the question. Follow the question phrasing, follow the question topic. Okay, question phrasing and question topic, very important. You cannot go off point. Okay, you have to refer to the topic. Okay, next, use your own words. Check. If let's say you use any of the words inside the source is considered as lifting already, you will fall down to L1. L11 is reserved for the lifted answers. Okay, you have done it a million times, so please stop doing the lifting. Okay, next thing is make sure your point is relevant to the issue where possible. It's not always the case, but if you find that it's very obvious and it's related to the issue, then make sure you can relate it to the issue as much as possible. Of course, make it clear, direct, and make it short. Okay, at least keep it to one sentence or less. Okay, if it's too long than this, all your extensions should be in your explanation and not in your inference. Your inference should be the main point, the main idea, the main opinion. Okay, it should be the main thing, right? Main idea, main opinion, or main perspective. Okay. And lastly, of course, you're doing source-based, right? You're not using your knowledge, right? You're using the source information. So make sure that whatever inference that you come up with, right, it has to be valid based on the evidence that you see. It cannot be something that come up from the sky. It cannot be something that came up from your own contextual knowledge. Yes, it must come from the evidence. I mean, the basis of it should come from the evidence. Next, your evidence only got one criteria, and that is make sure it's relevant. Okay, copy the source. Any text you see, please quote it, and please quote the relevant things. Okay, because again, you're doing inference, and inference is once again based on the evidence. So if your evidence is not clear and you cannot derive, you read your answer again. If you cannot derive your inference from the evidence that you wrote, it means that your evidence is insufficient or it's not relevant enough. So you have to choose the right one. Okay, it's very important to choose the right one. And lastly, of course, is your explanation. Once again, please write it in your own words and make strong extensions of the evidence. You are supposed to convince your marker beyond reasonable doubt of your point, right? Your point is the main anchor of the whole paragraph, all right? Your evidence is what your point is based upon, and your explanation is the link, right? It's the clear link back to your point. Is the clear link of how you use your evidence in order to explain the link back to your point. So it has to be in your own words. It must be clear. Now, how I will do source-based case study. Step 1, I will always do my brainstorming within myself, and then I'll annotate the source and the question. Okay, first, annotate the question. What is the question? What can you infer? So the question word is being used is infer. The topic is the Stalin's economic policies. So do not go off point. Make sure that your inference relates to this topic here. Okay, not all the time they'll give you the topic, but in this case they gave us a topic, so make sure that we do not go off point and we talk about the impact. Next, when you do your inference, right, the focus is on the impact. So your inference word has to relate to the impact. So how will you describe impact? Okay, so the most basic way to describe impact is, of course, to say whether it's positive or negative. Okay, this is the most basic way to describe impact. But then again, if you only give me positive or negative, make sure your explanation has the clear reason, has the clear extensions as to how exactly is the positive impact. Where exactly is the positive impact? Where exactly is the negative impact? In what aspect of society there is positive or negative impact? Okay, so your inference can just be positive or negative, but make sure in your explanation you elaborate further. In what way? Elaborate further in what way? So let's take a look. Again, this is a source-based case study. Your answer should be derived from the source itself and the content information that you see from the source. So, first thing I see is steel production increased 4 million tons to 17 million tons. Okay, so there's an increase in the production. Then you ask yourself why? Why is there an increase? This annotation is meant for your explanation. Okay, why? Probably because the workers are motivated, right? Probably because the workers are motivated, or probably because there's greater efficiency. Things can run smoothly, right? Right, things are more smoother. Okay, that's why there's an increase in the 4 million tons. Next, let's move on further down the source. I will also see that increase in production goods, increase in consumer goods. Okay, this is more for the well-being. Okay, well-being of people. If there's more consumer goods like television, all these things, right, it will increase the well-being of the people. So well-being of the people will eventually go up. Okay, next thing I see, farming became modernized. Again, this also links to efficiency, right? With more modernized farming, it will be more efficient. Okay, and lastly, also same thing. Introduce modern farming tools. Again, this is going to make things more efficient. And when you make things more efficient, you are going to have higher output. Yeah, higher output. Higher output, and then when you have higher output, you have economic success. So everything largely is positive, right? I see this is positive, this is positive, this is positive, and this is based on the evidence that I see, my extensions. So overall, based on the evidence I see, is largely positive. So I can come to the conclusion that my impact is positive. All right. So now that I've annotated my source and I've come to a complete understanding of it as a whole, then I'll start to write my answer down by following the question. Okay, what can you infer about the source? Impact of Stalin's economic policy. Okay, so this circle of life, right, is just to help you consolidate. If you're fast, you may not necessarily need to do it, but it's still useful. Okay, so I will write down my inference at the top. So the question, the impact, right? Impact of Stalin's policy, economic policy. This is the question, right? Then my conclusion, short and sweet and clear, is positive. How do I know it's positive? So some of the things that I noted down, okay, I'll just briefly mention. Okay, steel production increase. Steel production increase. Okay, what else did they say? Modern farming tools. Okay, then I write down modern farming tools is being produced. Next thing in my evidence, production of consumer goods. Consumer goods. Yes. So this type of things is what my evidence is telling me. Okay, this is my inference. So if my inference is this and my evidence is this, now the circle must be connected to the end. And so I will write down what my explanation is, which is all the keywords that I wrote just now. Okay, so write in point form. Okay, so what if I have all these things? Steel production increase, all these things. Okay, greater efficiency. So you check, this is my own words, right? Greater efficiency, right? The workers are motivated. Okay, this will give me higher output. Higher output, and thus it will give me economic success. So all these things, right? Efficiency, motivation, higher output, economic success. All these things actually will help to link back to my point and make my point clear that the impact of policy is effective, right? Because they ask you about impact, right? So impact, the word that links to impact is positive or negative. So positive. So impact of Stalin's rule is positive. How I know? Because evidence states all these things. So what if the evidence states all these things, right? This is the golden question you ask yourself. Okay, so what? So what if the thing states all these things? What's the implication, right? It implies that how does this show that it's positive? Well, because of all these things here, right? I can clearly see that workers are more motivated, things are moving faster, more efficient, higher output, and there's economic success. All these came from my own words, and therefore Stalin's economic policy is positive. Now, my circle here, you check everything. This is in my own words. This is in my own words. Everything is very clear. Then I can write it down in my sentence, right? It's a paragraph. So I've done it already. So point, follow the question. I can infer Stalin's economic policy, positive impact. Next evidence, I just copy everything down from my evidence, as you can see here. And so what? So what if I see all this evidence? Then I write this part down. This part here. Okay? Therefore, the policy created greater efficiency. So I'm clear, right? I'm clear because I've done the circle already. I know everything links together, okay? So this suggests that the policy greater efficiency modernized the Soviet Union, allowed the country to achieve prosperity, economic success, and motivated workers. Let me include, and motivated workers. Therefore, the impact of the policy was positive. Yeah, full stop, done. And that's my inference question. Okay, now all the other question types are are basically doing the same thing, right? It's just some more extensions to your inference. But if you can get the normal inference correct, the rest of the questions shouldn't be a problem anymore. Okay? All right. So that's your inference.